All right, here we are. Scissors and Scrubs, kicking off Memorial Day weekend.
It's the summer series.
Boom. Summertime. It's my favorite summer song. So I'd love to say it's a beautiful warm night in recording, but it's not. It's 46 degrees and raining.
It's just like
so
summer.
It doesn't feel Memorial Day-ish, but it is.
It is.
And so we are kicking off Memorial Day weekend with skin cancers and sunstroke and heat stroke and what you do at the beach and blah, 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 blah.
We're going to pretend it's warm in the sun.
Exactly. So in March, I went to Roatan. Where's Roatan? Off the coast of Honduras. It's a little island. My husband wanted to go diving. So I go to Roatan. My skin had not seen the sun since somewhere around September.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what do? Immediately lather up in sunscreen because I'm only 2 seconds from the equator and I proceed to bake for the whole week.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting on the plane to come home and I'm like, ugh, and I'm itchy, like right where my arms meet my armpit. And then I'm itchy right where like my bathing suit line is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm itchy and it's burning. And this happens to me every summer.
It does happen to you.
But I had convinced myself that I was allergic to the seats in my car.
You really did have yourself convinced of that.
I did. And I would sit on the towel and I was thinking, this is what it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't. Now, this has been going on probably 5 or 6 years that I go in the sun and this happens in the summertime. You know, I'm wearing shorts and I'm sitting in the car seats. When I finally looked it up and decided, oh no, I have a sun rash.
Yeah.
And usually a sun rash occurs because you've exposed your skin too quickly to a large amount of UV rays, as I did in Roatan.
But it feels so good.
It does, but by the time I came home, it had spread to my knees.
Ew.
My thighs were completely covered.
Ew.
And like right where the bathing suit line is like really red and bumpy. Down as it goes down my legs, it gets more like patchy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's raised patches, but not like around my, and I'm talking, what are we? I went in the 3rd week of March. We are almost at the end of April. I can still feel some of it left.
Really?
It's still, yes, it's still there. It's not itchy, but it's not smooth like it would be in the wintertime. Does that mean that Nicole's going to stop sitting in the sun?
No, God.
Absolutely not.
God, no.
Does that mean Nicole's going to cover up in the sun? Absolutely not. But
yes,
being in New England and being Italian, I tend to only sunscreen my face. So what I might do now is actually sunscreen my legs.
You should sunscreen everything. It doesn't stop you from getting a tan.
I know, but I just don't because it's a lot of work.
You have to sunscreen everything.
I usually just sunscreen my face.
Oh my God.
So
well, you're going to be sunscreening me?
That's true.
This
I will.
summer,
I'll keep you looped up.
I'll
get the spray.
While you're doing me, just do yourself.
I'll get the
as
spray.
Well. Yep.
I bought this obnoxious, like, Hollywood black picture hat that I was wearing on the beach. I looked like an ass, but I felt so fancy. To try to cover my face. Like, so I'm sitting there, I got my little bathing suit on, maybe like stupid hat on, my Audrey Hepburn sunglasses. And the people who ran the resort we were at were filming all this weird shit. They come over, they're like, would you mind filming throwing your trash out so we can show we recycle? I'm like, sure, in my big asshole hat. I'm like,
God.
Sure I will. I must have looked like a movie star. I'm such an idiot. So I was like, absolutely I will. So I get up from my lounge chair and my
in
hat.
a bathing suit?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I clearly do not have the issues you do, Laura, okay? I'm borderline exhibitionist.
I'm like in a bathing suit. I would die. Yes, let me go put my sweatshirt on and then I'll film that for you immediately.
It was way too hot for you. Know we were literally on the fucking equator. You know how fucking hot it was down there?
I know.
My God, it was ridiculous. You'd lay in the sun and I'm like, okay, all right, I gotta get in the water.
Jack was just calling me saying, and he's like, oh, I've been at the beach like the last 2 days. There's a beach on his base and he's on the beach. He's like, it said the UV index was like 8 something. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you shouldn't be out in 8 something. And he's like, I'm like, do you have sunscreen?
And he's like white.
Yeah, my child's white.
Yeah, he is white.
And I'm like, do you have sunscreen? Because he's also like the, you know, not the brightest with the sunscreen. And he'll tell me he put it on, and then I'll come home and his skin is falling off of him. I'm like, you absolutely did not put it. I'm like, did you put? He's like, I promise you I put the sunscreen on and I even reapplied it. And I'm like, okay.
When we went down last weekend. And that was like April vacation week. So down in Virginia, it was warm. The sun was out. And we took like a little cruise around the base and we saw the ships and everything. It was pretty cool. of course, what am I gonna? I'm like, I want top deck, no shade.
Yeah.
I'm out. I get a redheaded husband. My oldest is white. My youngest is white, but a little darker melanin in him. But he and my husband go look for shade, which, I mean, you cannot leave a redhead at any. No. I mean, he thinks he bronzes. He doesn't. He fucking fries.
He pinks. Yeah.
And we didn't have sunscreen because I didn't expect it to be as warm as it was down there. So my oldest is sitting out with me, and he's like, I'm gonna get some color. And he's joking around. He's like, I'm gonna fry and this and that. Okay. Well, when you're in the sun, this is the problem. When you're actually in the sun,
yeah, you don't.
Very often you can't see the burn.
Or feel it.
Yeah. When we got home, red stripes up both his arms, red stripes on his thighs, right down his nose. I'm like, and he does tan beautifully, but he needs sunscreen to do it.
Yes.
But you know how fucking lazy he is.
Yeah.
He would probably end up in Shriner before he had to put sunscreen on.
That's why I was actually surprised he had it on him. 8 is very high. Yeah. You should not be out. He's like, no, I promise you I have it on.
And, you know, we'll get into it, but when you're in the water, not only is it washing your sunscreen off, but it's reflecting it 10 times worse. When you're on the sand, the lightness of the sand. When you're in the snow, the lightness of the snow is all reflecting that onto your skin. So we are discussing sun problems.
Sun issues.
So what I was experiencing flying home from Roatan, Laura, was polymorphic light eruption. I always wanted an eruption.
That sounds gross.
It's disgusting. Okay?
Okay.
It's an itchy burning rash, which I can absolutely fucking attest to because I was like scratching my legs, that appears 2 to 3 days after sun exposure to sunlight. It can last up to 2 weeks. But it will heal without scarring. And I can attest to that as well. My thighs are normal.
Imagine.
It's just the bathing suit line. It appears on parts of the skin exposed to sunlight. So your arms, your legs, your chest. But you don't usually see it happen on the face.
Because it's always exposed.
One of the girls I was with, she was getting it on her face. Ugh. The rash can be raised like pink red spots. But some people can get blisters or dry patches that might look like eczema. It is easily mistaken for heat rash. Heat rash is going to be caused by warm weather or overheating. Like you're going to get it because you were sweating out in the heat. You're not going to get it because you were out in the sun. So I was not working out down there by any means.
There was no exertion.
There was no exertion except walking to the bar and back. But and I broke out in a rash. So, if you're breaking out in a rash because you're running or because you're out.
Right, that's a different.
It's a completely different thing. It can happen every time you go in the sun or just when first exposed to the sun. So when I look back at all my quote unquote allergies, they usually occur in like June and July. And by the end of the summer, it had gone away. Like last year, I think maybe I don't know if I just finally got dark enough last year or what. By the end of the summer, it was gone, but it kicked in pretty quick. So it shows up in early spring, early summer when you're just starting to go out. And if skin is exposed before the rash clears up, you can make the rash worse.
Which is what
I can attest to that. Because I just kept going out in the sun. And then I was like, oh, it's the sand from sitting in the beach chair.
Oh my God.
I never heard of this. I had never fucking heard of this. Like, I'm like, who's allergic to the sun? I'm fucking Italian. I can't be allergic to the sun. It's like an oxymoron. So, it's more common in women. More common in people who are white. I'm a little sallow more than I am white.
You have a sallow.
And I start to...
You and Mike are sallow.
We're sallow. Well, olive oily looking. And it usually starts between 20 and 40. So, clearly, it was like when I was 20 because it was only a couple of years.
Right, obviously.
Causes of it. It is thought to be an immune response to UV rays, altering a substance in the skin. It's not infectious, though it feels like it. There is no cure for it, though you can protect yourself from it. So you can completely avoid the sun, which I am never going to do.
No.
Especially from the hours of 11 to 3. You can sunscreen, which I absolutely should be doing, and wear protective clothing, which you can introduce your skin gradually to sunlight, which I will do in the spring. So that is sun rash, which is not to be confused with sun poisoning.
Yes.
Sun poisoning. Sun poisoning. I used to hear this all the time as a kid. I have sun poisoning. And I was like, what is that? Okay. Sun poisoning, not to be confused with a sun rash. It starts like a regular sunburn, but can become much worse. And it refers to a more serious sunburn. You can blister or peel with a sun poisoning. You will get severe redness and pain, confusion, nausea, vomiting, headache, dizziness, and fainting with sun poisoning. So you have been out so much in the sun, you not only fried yourself, but you've made yourself extremely ill. So sun poisoning is not a skin thing. It is an internal systemic problem you are having to too much sun. You are at an increased risk if you have fair skin, you have a family history of skin cancer, you're on antibiotics, you are on birth control, you have herbal supplements like St. John wort.
Oh, that thing, I don't know why people take that, because there's a lot of problems with St. John's wort.
We need to cover.
Stop taking your St. John's wort.
We need to cover weird herbal supplements people take. If you live close to the equator, if you live in high altitudes, you're at the beach because, like I said, the UV is reflected off the water and the sand. Or if you're doing snow activities like skiing, snowboarding, or cross-country skiing, you're constantly, it's how snow blinding starts because the UV is on your face. So if you're not protecting your eyes, you're burning your retinas and your face. Alpha hydroxy acids. So things you're using like skin peels or skin intense skin treatments, you go out with those in the sun, you're going to fry the shit out of your face. So treatments for it, you can start with cool water compresses, steroid creams to help with the pain. If it's really bad, you're going to need IV fluids for dehydration. Oral steroids because you can get pain and swelling. I mean, people with severe sun poisoning, their faces will blow up and their eyes will shut.
There was just some, I don't know if it's on something, like some girl was like, yeah, they're not kidding when they say don't wear, I think Aquaphor. You're not supposed to wear Aquaphor on your face if you go out in the sun for some reason, like blisters wicked. And she's like, yeah, I guess you're actually not supposed to. Her eyes were completely swelled shut. That her eyes were so swollen and her mouth was like wicked. So I was like, holy Jesus.
Like Squid Games.
She 100% had sun poisoning.
Yeah. It's disgusting. Yeah. You know, and it's really, really bad. So you're going to treat it like you would a bad sunburn. And if it's left untreated, it can lead to life-threatening complications like dehydration. And you can get infections because you have these blisters that are popping and you're not taking care of it. And, you know, we were at work the other day and somebody's doing their mandatory work and they're like, skin. Like, is that going to be an issue? Or like, both of us were like, it's your first line of defense. So if you compromise your first line of defense, you're going to end up with a serious infection. Your skin keeps a lot of nasty shit out of your body. Yep. So, yes, I need to start wearing sunscreen. And when we say wear sunscreen, we're not saying put on like in our 80s episode, we talk about the ridiculousness sunscreen we wore in the 80s. We're not talking like a 4 with iodine in it. We're talking like 50 or 70. Know your sunscreens. Know your good sunscreens. Know that like I believe the number is how long you can be in the sun with it without reapplying, right?
I think so.
So if it's 50, you have about an hour and you got to reapply every hour. You should put a base coat on before you go out and wait 30 minutes before you go out in the sun. A lot of people rely on that spray as their base coat. Yeah, no, you're going to fry with that shit.
You need regular lotion.
You need like lotion, thick lotion. You go in the water, reapply. You go, you're sweating a lot, reapply. And that's sunscreen. Okay. And sunburns and sun blisters and sun poisoning. Okay. All right. So you're going to move on to
skin cancer.
Skin cancers.
Yep. I got this from the CDC.org, cancer.org, and mdanderson.org.
Okay. Skin cancer, nasty.
There are 3 types of like very common skin cancers. There's basal cell, squamous cell, and melanoma. They're all named after the cells that are affected by this cancer. So
melanoma's a nasty one.
Yeah. Basal cell is the most common skin cancer, and it is the most common of all types of cancer.
Oh.
Did you?
I did not know that.
Like, basal cell is the most common cancer.
Sense, it does. You always hear people saying, I had a basal cell removed my face. And like,
but I thought that was
people
weird.
People don't even blink an eye when they have a basal cell.
No. 8 out of 10 skin cancers are basal cell cancers.
Thank God.
Yes. They are the least aggressive skin cancer. They are easily treated by surgical excision. You have a mole, it's a basal cell, they cut it off.
Yep.
And it's gone. And they're caused by excessive UV light exposure. They are more likely to develop in skin that has been radiated. So if you have had radiation for something, you are more likely to develop a basal cell there.
I did not know that.
They are usually pink and translucent, like almost like a pearly pink looking, and they're smooth. They're usually found on your annual skin exam. Like, you know, people aren't usually like, oh, like, you know, when you see a weird mole, you're like, I gotta get that checked. People don't usually find these on their own. You can, but your skin doctor is gonna find these. The basal layer is the lower part of the epidermis, and the basal cells are constantly dividing and replacing the squamous cells that slough off your outer layer. So your squamous is your outer layer; those slough off all the time, and your basal cell layer is the lower layer, and it comes up and replaces the squamous cells. These basal cell cancers usually develop on the face, head, and neck, where you are more.
You can always see the kind of people you look at them like, oh, he's gonna get a basal. Like,
yeah,
you look at that skin type and be like, oh, yeah, no, they're gonna end up.
Squamous cell cancer is the 2 out of every 10 skin cancers are squamous cell cancers. They're kind of like the middleman between basal and melanoma. It's not aggressive like melanoma, but it's a little more aggressive than basal. They start in the flat cells on the outer part of your skin, like the very top layer. They commonly appear on sun-exposed areas like face, ears, neck, lips, and the backs of your hands. They can also develop in scars and chronic skin sores.
Ooh.
Yeah. They can start in, I'm not going to say this right.
Chronic skin sores sounds gross.
Yeah. They can start in actinic keratosis, which are precancerous, rough or...
Did you seriously want me to help you with that word? Because
I know.
You think I can say it?
They're precancerous, rough or scaly spots that are pink, red, or flesh-colored. Okay. They're like scaly. I think I have one right here.
If you've ever seen Austin Powers Goldmember, and Goldmember himself...
Oh, he has all those
He
flaky...
is like a basal cell, squamous cell looking kind of guy.
Yeah. They can also infrequently occur in the skin of the genital area.
Oh, so you can get I've never heard of that.
Yeah, so you can get a squamous cell cancer
on your penis?
On the skin of the genital area. They are usually easily removed or treated. They are, like I said, they're slightly more likely to grow into the deeper layer of the skin than basal cells are.
So random. Imagine getting a skin cancer on your dick.
It's weird. And that's not because of sun exposure.
That's what I mean. Like, that's not, unless you're on a nude beach. Who knows?
Chemo, leukemia, immunotherapies, or immunosuppressant drugs used with stem cell transplant can increase your likelihood of developing squamous cell cancers.
I never knew that.
Then we go to melanoma. Melanoma is the most aggressive skin cancer, but it is the least common.
And it's the most aggressive cancer, isn't it? Like the most deadly cancer?
I don't think so.
Maybe I thought I heard that somewhere.
Yeah. It starts in the melanocytes, which are the cells that give pigment to the skin. They're usually diagnosed when patients notice a black, dark, or multicolored mole. So this one, you're at home and you look in the mirror, you're like,
that looks weird.
That looks weird. If anything looks weird to you, all of a sudden stands out, all of a sudden looks different, or you've never noticed it, now you notice it, go get it checked. But these ones people usually find on their own and say, I need to go to the doctor.
Because it's unusual, or somebody else will look at it and be like, you got this weird mole, you might want to check that.
It doesn't always develop in sun-exposed areas. They're commonly seen on the palms of the hands, in between your toes, or your scalp. They're very common on the trunk in men, so your chest or your back, and then the legs in women. That's where you're going to see those. You can see them anywhere, but those are very common areas. They can be caused by sun exposure, but it has a large genetic component. The other two do not.
Yes,
melanoma has
people who were never in the sun and got it.
Yeah. People with BRCA2 mutations are at a very increased risk of developing melanoma. So if you get that BRCA2 gene, not only is it breast cancer, ovarian, whatever, but melanoma as well. Treatment depends on the stage of the melanoma. So melanomas, they're going to stage out. 0 to 1A is just a surgical removal of the spot of the melanoma. Any higher stage, they start doing sentinel lymph node dissections. So they take out your lymph nodes to see if you have it, if it's spread. They use radiation, immunotherapy, and targeted therapy, not chemotherapy, to treat melanoma. I think they used to use chemo and they don't. Melanoma stats. Only 1% of skin cancers are melanomas, but they cause the majority of skin cancer deaths. About 97,610 new melanomas will be diagnosed in 2023.
Wow.
About 7,990 people will die of melanoma in 2023. Rates have risen rapidly over the last few decades. In adults over 50, rates increase in women about 1% per year. but in men, the rates are stable. Melanoma mortality rates declined rapidly over the past decade because of advances in treatment by about 5% in patients under 50 and 3% in those 50 or older. So we are getting better at treating them.
Thank God.
Melanoma is more than 20 times more common in white people than in black people.
But black people can get it.
Oh, yes, but it's just 20 times
But
more
I just
likely.
think sometimes people with darker skin think, I'm never going to get that.
Right. No, it can absolutely. Right. You can 100% get it. The lifetime risk of a white person getting melanoma is 2.6%. But for black people, it is only 0.1%. And it's 0.6% for Hispanics. So it is far less likely, but it can still happen. The risk of melanoma increases with age. It is one of the most common cancers in young adults, especially young women.
Yes.
How do you reduce your risk for any of these skin cancers? Avoid the goddamn sun.
I was going to say stay out of the sun.
Most skin cancers are caused by too much exposure to UV rays, which comes from sun, tanning beds, and sun lamps. UV rays are present and harmful all year. Even if it's overcast, even if it's cold, the UV rays are present. You should wear sunscreen every single day.
Yep.
In the U.S., UV rays are the strongest between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. The UV index forecasts the strength of the UV rays daily. If it is over a 3, you need to protect your skin. Like I just said, Jack said, oh, it says 5 at 8 today. I'm like, oh my God, I think that's a lot. Stay in the shade. Wear clothing that covers your arms and legs. Wear a wide brim hat to shade the face, neck, ears, and head. People
all borrow my Audrey Hepburn hat.
Yeah, people forget your ears. Like you see that a lot. People's ears will be like.
That's where my uncle, who had the skin cancer, he would get a lot of skin cancers on his ear.
Yeah. Or your scalp, because you don't.
Especially bald men.
Putting sunscreen in your hair either, though. Like you don't want to put that sunscreen through weight, but especially like up front and stuff, you got to put it in, or on your pot. Wear wrap sunglasses, which you will never catch me dead wearing a pair of wrap sunglasses.
With a baseball hat?
That block, they will say right on them that they block UVA and UVB rays. Try to get sunglasses that say that on it. And use broad spectrum sunscreen with a sun protection factor, which that's what SPF stands for, sun protection factor, of 15 or higher. Anything below 15 is a waste of your time. Avoid indoor tanning. That includes tanning beds, tanning boots, sunbeds, or sun lamps.
Spray tans are beautiful.
Yeah. They use high levels of UV rays, which can cause skin cancers, cataracts, and cancers of the eyes.
Yeah.
Don't mess around with them.
Do not want a cancer of the eye.
Also, just, for other safety facts, indoor tanning accidents and burns send more than 3,000 people to the ER yearly.
I mean, if anybody's watched Final Destination, you know how bad a tanning bed can be.
So don't use indoor tanning. It feels great. I know. I did it. I used to, I would do it when I was a teenager.
I never went to a tanning bed.
And they feel so nice, especially on a cold day. Yeah. Not worth it to get a melanoma or something on you. And it's just not worth it. Always wear sunscreen. I wear it every single day. You put it on your face before your cream. Yep. Like it takes 2 seconds to slather it on.
Yep.
Just wear it.
Technically, Laura, it should go on after your cream. Because your cream will not get absorbed if your sunscreen's on it. Because moisturizer goes into the skin, sunscreen stays on top of the skin.
Oh, okay. All my
protective
regimens tell me to do it the other way around.
It's because think about it, like moisturizer is supposed to suck into your skin and moisturize. Sunscreen is protecting a barrier. So you have to flip it so the barrier's on top. When I get a facial, she moisturizes and then tops with sunscreen. We had a coworker who his daughter had a melanoma under her fingernail. Oof. And it looked like a line. Didn't know what it was. And by the time she figured out what it was too late. She unfortunately passed from it. They can end up in weird places like that. So if you have like a black dot under a fingernail or something that, like she said, does not look right, check it.
I had, I go yearly for skin. You also should do that. Get a dermatologist. Go once a year.
Everybody should do it, but especially if you have high risk skin. Like my husband's a redhead. He should be getting checks constantly.
But you should just do it. And then it takes, all of 5 minutes. They check you from head to toe with their little weird eyeglass thing. You're standing there butt naked, but they check you all over. And I am very I have freckles and mole. I am covered in stuff. So it takes a while because they have to go through every single dot. But I go every year. I've had multiple things that are precancerous removed early. Like if I didn't go,
Forget it.
I would never know that. One time my OBGYN, I had one on like my inner thigh, and she's like, this is black and it's a weird shape. Next time you come, this better be off. And I was like, okay. So I went to the dermatologist. They did take it off, and it was like a precancerous thing. And I had one I noticed, like kind of under my arm to the side of my breast, like probably, out of the bathing suit or something. And I was like, I don't remember seeing that. Like it was just all of a sudden there. And I was like, I have a ton of them, but I was like, I never noticed that. And I said to Mike, like, have you ever noticed this? And he's like, no, I've never noticed that. And they took it off, and then I had to go back, and they had to take more margins because it was something. But I go every year. There's something there's this one he's watching.
Yeah. I have a lot of
He said to me that he goes, I don't like that one. He said, I keep talking about it. If I say it again, I'm going to take it off. He's like, next year we're taking it off. I'm like, okay. So next year I'm getting this thing taken off my neck, but just go. They will find it. They will catch it.
Who's got the really Irish white skin, and she's like a sun goddess. She had a melanoma on her face. She had it taken off. She's back out in the sun. At the time, I was doing like fillers and this and that. And she's like, I'd like to get lip filler. I'm like, what is on your lip? She's like, I don't know. I keep picking at it. It keeps bleeding. It doesn't go away. I said, I'm not touching your lips until you've had that checked. It's fucking skin cancer. And they wound up taking he did a beautiful job because you would never know, but they took a huge chunk out of her lip. You have to be hypervigilant. Like, I'm sorry, God forbid, if I was in a melanoma, I'd probably be in a burqa at the beach. Like, you would just see my eyeballs coming out. I'd still be at the beach, but you wouldn't see any skin coming out.
Yeah. You can die from melanoma.
So continuing on with our lovely Memorial Day episode here, the last thing I'm just going to touch on is like heat exhaustion, heat stroke. If we talked about it, we briefly talked about it in our marathon episode, maybe.
Yeah.
So there's 3 levels of like heat stroke, and I can be susceptible to this if I'm out doing like anything exertion, which is why I don't exert myself in the heat. So if you're out in the heat, you can start with heat cramps, which are painful muscle spasms in your abdomen, arms, or legs. It's the first step in a heat-related illness. And usually this is like you're out running, you're out exercising in the heat. Like, I don't understand these people on like a fucking 100-degree day out there on a run. I'm like, what are you fucking doing? It's 100. Why are you running? Like,
you're
what
sweating
night?
Just standing still.
Let's go at night or something when the sun isn't beating on you.
Yeah.
I don't get it. So it can occur after intense exercise or sweating in high heat because you're a moron out there. The treatment is to move to a cool place to rest. You loosen your clothing and you fan your skin. Sip cool sports drinks. You don't want to just hydrate with water because when you're sweating, you're losing a ton of salt. You want to hydrate with a drink that has salt and sugar in it, like Gatorade, and kind of stretch your muscles slowly because you can be getting a lot of cramps from that. If you haven't listened to your body with the cramps, you're going to go into heat exhaustion. Now, you're excessively sweating. Your skin, even though your sweating is cool, which is never good. If you're sweating a lot and you have that clammy skin, that's never good. You're starting to get a fever of over 100.4. You're getting dizzy. I've had this happen to me, vomiting, nausea. Because when I was younger, I was kind of an idiot and I couldn't really pop a squat outside so well. So I would dehydrate myself on a hike because I didn't want to have to go to the bathroom out in the woods. And I was in Hawaii and did this. And I got violently, I was vomiting by the time, and I still had to hike 2 miles back out. Ew. Very stupid. Very stupid. I can, like an expert level, pop a squat now. But back then I wasn't so great about it. I was always afraid of peeing on myself. So you can get dizziness.
So vomiting on yourself.
Vomiting was much more attractive. Nausea. You get a fast, weak pulse with it. Again, that's never good either. No. If these symptoms are showing up, you want to move to a cool, dry place. Loosen your clothing again. Gatorade again. If your symptoms do not improve, you want to get some medical help, Laura.
Yeah, you might want to.
And if you still haven't listened to your body at that point, we've now moved into heat stroke, which ain't no joke.
Yeah.
Heat stroke is the most serious. It happens when your body can no longer regulate a temp. It's just going to fucking go up and up and up. It cannot cool off anymore. And that's what happens. Your body temperature is going up and up and up. You are no longer sweating, so you can't cool down. Your temp can go up to 106 in about 10 minutes.
Jesus.
And it can cause permanent disability or death without treatment. Now, back in my youth, Laura, I'm going to say my late 30s, my running phase, I decided to do a run. It was a 5K, and it kind of took you through Heartbreak Hill part of the marathon. And it was June, and it was hot. I was miserable. Part of this, I was only doing a 5K. There was, I think, a half marathon or a 10K going with. There might have been a 10K and a half marathon going with it. So we are running by one of the medical tents. And I'm thinking of how fucking miserable I am as I'm running. And I see this man on the ground. There's medical help with him. He is wild. He's almost unconscious. Yeah. He's yelling. He's wild. And they were picking him up and dumping him in an ice bath because he was starting to completely lose it. And as we're running by, they had dumped him in the ice bath. You could tell he was not with it. Yeah. Because the things coming out of his mouth to people, if he was with it, he would never have said these things. You know, in a million years, he would never have. I was, as a nurse, fucking horrified. Yeah. I thought he's going to seize. He's going to. Right. He was so hot. That was the only way to cool him down, was they were dumping him in an ice bath. And I was like, yeah, why am I doing this?
Right. This doesn't seem right.
I can lose weight a better way. Yeah. So you can have confusion and altered mental status. And the reason I tell you this story is because this is everything I was seeing on this gentleman. Slurred speech. You can go into a coma. Hot, dry skin or profuse sweating. You can have seizures from the heat. Your body, if your body temp is above 104, you are literally starting to cook your brain. Yeah. It's really, really bad. You have to get your body temp down. And it can be fatal with no treatment. So, somebody is suffering from heat stroke. You have to call 911. Move them to, and if so, you've called 911. This is what you're doing while you're waiting for the ambulance to show up because you have called 911. Yes. You are going to move them to a cold, cool, shaded place. Remove as much clothing as you feel you can do. You're going to get like cool compresses, cold water, whatever. You can soak them in an ice bath if it's available. Otherwise, get the cool compresses. You're going to put them in their groins, put them in their armpits, put it on their forehead. You're doing everything you can to rapidly wet them down. Wet the skin, wet their clothes, soak their clothes in cool water if you can, and circulate the air wherever they are to try to get all, because, you know, I forgot what they call it, but when the water evaporates off your skin and cools, if you're circulating the air on their wet skin, it'll rapidly start to cool them down. So, when you're out on Memorial Day, you're going to be lathered up in sunscreen, wearing your Audrey Hepburn hat, and you're going to be watching everybody around you for heat stroke, sunstroke, heat exhaustion. On that note, enjoy your lovely Memorial Day weekend.
Enjoy the sun.
And get all your pasta salads out and your hot dogs and your hamburgers. And get the fireworks going safely, not with your hands, and bonfires and all that other shit that happens in the summer. I love the summer. It's my favorite time of year. I love the
smell of it.
Way too small.
I love the feel of it.
A hot summer night.
Like, where were we?
And somebody's like, "Oh, it's too hot." I'm like, "No,
a hot summer night is
to
just
90-degree
perfect.
Weather for me in the summer at night. Cup of cool drink in your hand, sitting on the deck. Like, I want to be in a tank top and shorts and not be cold.
Yes.
At 9:00 at night.
Yes. I don't want to have to put a jacket on.
No. I can sleep in that weather if I got an AC. I can sleep in that weather without an AC. I fucking love the summer.
I love that. What's
love
that?
It, love it,
Is
love
that
it.
song? Hot summer nights. I'm like, but every time I hear it, I'm like, oh, I love a hot summer night. Like every time it like makes you feel so good. I love
the hot night.
Yes, I love the smell of it.
Summer nights.
Yeah.
I even like a good quick flash thunderstorm.
Oh, I love a thunderstorm.
Where it's still like it's raining, but you're not hot. And you can smell the heat coming off the pavement.
And it's like steaming.
Yes.
Love it.
I love the summer.
Me too. Can't wait.
These winters up here kill me because I love the summer. So.
I know, but I think we enjoy it more. I really do.
Oh God, but it's just way too goddamn short.
It's so quick.
Like
that's what I'm saying. You have to like get every ounce of it out. Yes. Like people in Florida, they're in the house in the AC. They're not enjoying one minute of it.
My girlfriend's in Arizona, and she just had to replace her AC because it's already in April 90 degrees. And if they don't replace the AC and it breaks, your house is destroyed.
Right, but you know what I'm saying? Like. Yeah, I think we get every drop out of it because we know it's fleeting.
I think
those people are in their houses in the AC, not enjoying
True,
that.
But I also think summers in New England, because we have the ocean nearby, I think they're just beautiful.
They're just perfect.
A summer in Florida is not the same. Even their winters aren't a summer in New England.
No.
I just wish we could start like in April and end like around November. And then like you get a quick fall, winter's just January, March, and then January, February, and then March, spring comes.
Yeah.
And then we're back in the heat. That would make me happy. I mean, I don't mind the seasons. I just wish summer was as long as winter.
I know.
That would make me happy.
I know. It's
All
just
right.
perfect.
So we're looking for ideas for summer series, which by the time you hear this, we probably should have already planned it. But we would love some input because we're going into like what, the 5th summer series or something.
Is it?
And I'm running out of ideas, dude.
We'll think of something.
Look them up. I need some good shit. So so there you go. Have a wonderful kickoff to your summer.
Yeah, enjoy.
Laura's probably already had surgery.
I'm
by this
recovering
point.
from my surgery at this point. Yeah.
She's going in for a nice labrum tear in her shoulder, and she's going to leave me at work all summer by myself.
I'm not looking forward to this.
Neither am I. And I'm not having surgery, but I'm very upset. I feel like I'm going into mourning.
Well,
you're going to leave me for like 3 months in that.
I know, but you can come get me on your days off, and
I am going to work
me off
every
like
other
a
day.
daycare.
I'm going to.
And then you can lather me up in my
Call Mike, I'm
sunscreen.
bringing her home, Mike. Are you ready to pick her up? She's drunk. Is that going to be okay?
You can lather me up, make sure, because I'm not going to be able to do it.
Well, Mike can put the base tan on, the base coat on you in the morning, and I'll just continue to spray you down.
Yes.
I'll pour you drinks for you,
Thank
crack
you.
your bottles. I'll carry a beach chair. I'll just leave it at my house.
I mean, you'll have to.
We'll just leave it at my house. I hate you for leaving me. All right, so we will see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye.
Like, subscribe, rate, and review the Scissors and Scrubs podcast on whatever podcast app you listen to us on. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Scissors and Scrubs. And email us any of your stories or thoughts to scissorsnscrubs@gmail.com.